Why are you trusting me with your farms? No, seriously, why are you trusting me with your farms? I'm the guy who built some of the most inefficient monstrosities in Minecraft, and you're trusting me with your farms. Well, okay then. So today we're going to be learning on how to build a gold farm, which is something that I'm not too familiar with. I did watch a few tutorials before this, and I learned quite a bit about it. So the base tutorial I watched for this was by Oink Oink. Please do check that out if you want a more like small compacted farm. But this farm's going to be a bit more elaborate and bigger. So to start off with, you're going to want, it doesn't have to be the ocean. I just chose this area simply because it's nice, wide, and flat. It could technically be grasslands, anything really. I'd actually advise grasslands just because if you're working with the ocean, you're going to have to hollow out a bunch of water. But besides that, what you're going to need is like a stack of obsidian. It really depends on how big you want the farm to be. Like 5 or 6 stacks of building blocks. I'm going to be using purple stained glass in this tutorial. It can be really anything. And a flint and steel, a water bucket, a dispenser, and a lava bucket, and a couple trapdoors. I'd bring roughly a stack of wood with you, just for general basics of the farm. Now, okay, to start off, we need a 23 by 23 portal. It does not have to be 23 by 23, but 23 by 23 is the biggest and will make the most efficient farm. Now that we have the frame in place, the next step is to actually probably put a little line of blocks right here, just so you could test something. So basically put a line of blocks on each side. This is only because I'm in the ocean. If you already had blocks in there, you don't have to worry. But after you plop these into place, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to light the portal and then break it. And you're going to do this repeatedly. Mind you, I know you can't do this in survival, so one method I would advise is putting a dispenser, a water bucket, light the light the portal, and then mind you that you just put a lever right here, flick it, take it off, and why did that not work? Light it. I just broke it. Okay, you know what? Let me fix this real quick. As I was saying, you would repeat the process until a pigman would fall out. So you just keep doing this, break, keep doing this, break, keep doing this, break, and you'd basically keep doing this until a pigman spawned. I'm pretty sure one spawned on this side already, so let me just keep doing this real quick. Yep, they're spawning on this side. So now you would remove the back row of blocks. Mind you, I'd break this just in case, because it's kind of annoying, and that can affect the farm later. But for now, just break it and leave it there. Now what you're going to do is actually, if you did use this method, pick these up again, because you're going to need them. And what you're going to want to do is just line up blocks right here, and you're going to want to put a little bit of a collection chamber right here. So first things first, well, it's more of a portal turn-off chamber. I don't know why I said collection. Anyways, first things first, you'd want to put a dispenser here. That's just first and foremost, you know, prepping for the future. You'd then put a line of blocks right here. Mind you, I wouldn't advise glass. I usually do glass for visibility purposes, but any block will work. These blocks can affect the farm. For example, a glass block cannot go here. So I'm going to be using obsidian instead. It can be any block, really. So what you're going to want to do, block there, open up these 3 right here, and you're going to grab an observer. Now you're going to place the observers in an observer clock formation. So basically you're going to have an observer here, an observer here, and an observer here. Well, actually, no, sorry, there's no observer there. That was my mistake. So you then want to put blocks here, here, and here, and make this too tall. The next step, which I actually draw this from Oink Oink's video, and it was super clever, that's why I'm using it, is you'd use trapdoors of any kind, and you just line them along here, and click the trapdoors up. Now you'd place the blocks here, and that's it. That's all you need. Now the last thing you're going to want is just a lava bucket. That's it. Now that's the base of the farm. This is the part of the farm that I drew from a tutorial. So basically that will light up and then that will unlight up, essentially. Mind you, you'd have a water bucket in here, and that's about it. Mind you, I'd advise building this last simply because it can get a little annoying when you have a portal constantly turning off and on. There's going to be a water bucket in here like this, but I will not be putting it in there simply because pigmen will overwhelm you and you will start having trouble. With all that in place, you're now going to want to continue a line for about 8 blocks here. So you just want to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. pretty simple stuff, basic math. I'm sure we can all do it. If you can't, then I'm sorry. Alright, you'd now continue the rows of glass onto here. Once you have your glass in place like so, you want to line water up right here. This is another reason I choose an ocean, and it's simply because you can line water and grab it super easily, and you don't really have to worry about that. Well, what this makes is a bit of a collection chamber. You could extend this and, say, do something like that, and just loop that around. One way, like one kill chamber I do like is powdered snow. I will not be using that one as the example in this tutorial simply because it isn't the most efficient, but it is pretty handy for how cheap it is, and that's why I like it. Now, the next step you'd want to do is, as I'm doing right now, is just create a little bit of a collection chamber, because this is going to be the second of your force, like, water chambers. What you're going to do, water at this end, water at this end, that's it. The water flows in, and you have a 5 by 5 right here. You could proceed to change this into a 1 by 1, but for sakes of cramming, I would not. The next step you'd want to go through is actually making a drop here from 25 blocks or higher. So basically you just dig down. I mean, this is a lot easier and creative than it would be in survival, obviously, but if you want it to be an insta-kill chamber, just do 25 blocks. Here's where some of the downsides of living in ocean will come, simply because, well, as you can see, we're starting to get floods over here, and that's not okay. So I'm just gonna kind of work this out myself and show you guys the finished result. That drop is definitely bigger than 25 blocks, and the reason it needs to be is simply because if you place a zombie pigman right here, he falls through and falls to his death. Nothing too special there. I do advise using something like an insta-kill chamber, and here is why. In Minecraft Bedrock, if you have, well, unlike in Java, there's no cramming, so if you have a box like this, so say we just build this real quickly. Alright, you have a box like that. Instead, in Java, if this thing were to take effect by cramming, the enemies would start dying in there. They just all start dying. In Bedrock, there's a different effect. I'm starting to think this example isn't going to work very well. Well, basically, what the effect is that it's cramming. But instead of cramming as it normally is, basically what happens is that everything gets forced out. Every single mob in that vicinity that gets overloaded, mind you. So say there's 40 mobs, number 41 will get forced out. And that will continue to happen, and since it's a gold farm, that will start to backfire, meaning that if you're having a sword-based killing chamber, those pigmen will start coming out of the farm mad at you, meaning you'll have an army of pigmen that are currently attacking you, and that is not very good. So basically, an insta-kill chamber, that prevents that. By having just a little bit of a drop that kills the pigmen, they can't handle that, meaning they instantly die, and that's it. There's no cramming effect taking place, meaning that you'll be pretty much perfectly safe. There are a few things that can cause this farm to backfire, but they're kind of rare and very, like, for example, let me think of it real quick. If your world is subject to a lot of lag, sometimes the pigmen may sort of lag and escape, but that is really rare, and it shouldn't happen unless, like I said, your world is subject to a lot of lag. So this would be a simple collection chamber. Mind you, this farm is so efficient, this chest would quickly get filled up, and I'd advise an item sorter simply because you'll get a lot of junk along with the rest of it, and having an item sorter will protect you in some ways. So this would be pretty much the end of the farm if you're going to go that simple. You can install a Trident Killer, and that would allow you to get XP, but this is the basics. So if you watch very closely, keep watching, there we go. What you're going to want to do is this. See, the farm will constantly, oh, it's lagging. Another thing I'd like to advise real quick is do not put this by your base. You will experience lag. I am going to need to fill it up. I did not know they could clip through little holes like that. Another piece of advice, do not leave holes in your design. That was kind of my bad. Anyways, you just continue doing this, and as you can see, they're falling down. That's it. They're seriously just, they're falling. There's nothing they can do about it, and they die down there. And, well, the profits are down there. Mind you, you can use water elevators, you could use whatever you want to move the profits, but nevertheless, they will be ending up in this chest. One thing I do like about this farm is it's stackable. Basically, if you want to create this farm one, like a couple blocks ahead of this one, it will work, and you could have them all linked up to the same killing chamber. And that's super nice, because as you can see, it's super efficient. And that's something I really like. So, real quick, another piece of advice, I'm just learning this because I haven't had to deal with this yet. You're going to need to seal up every hole. Pigmen can apparently escape through the slightest of gaps, and you're going to need to seal up every one of those. So the farm should be in perfect working condition now. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, what if I were just to make this portal max height, but 23 blocks long? As much as that would seem like it would work perfectly, it actually doesn't, believe it or not. It's not that efficient. Basically, it cuts the amount of pigmen roughly in half portal. And that just about sums up the farm now that I think about it. I noticed you do have to stand a little closer to the farm. I don't think there's any disadvantages at standing closer. And it is not always super efficient. It has like its periods where it's not that good and it's great. But as long as these farms are stacked, they should be fine. So that just about sums up the farm. I do try to leave these farms as not as vague as possible, but simply as simple as possible so that you guys can feel free to add your own creative touch to these. I'm not sure why my eyes went blank, that's kind of strange. But anyways, I really do hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a bit different than what I usually do, but I try to keep my channel nice and versatile and as helpful as possible. Now, as you can see, that farm is chugging along in the back. I do advise that you do stack this thing and definitely keep it away from your bases. It is extremely laggy, and it's not, well, extremely would be an exaggeration. It is very laggy, though, and especially if you stack this thing, it will get very laggy. So please do keep this away from your main areas. But as long as you do that, the farm will work very efficiently. And one last thing I'd like to share with you before we head out is this. Very simple fix. You could do this in many different ways, but just a quick lever. That's all you need to add to finish up the farm, simply because, as I mentioned, this farm can get very laggy, and if a simple lever, it's off. That's it. And flick off. There we go. I may have made a mistake. There we go. Farm's fixed. See? Just add that lever, you could turn it on and off, and that's just about it. That wraps up the farm. So, like I said, thank you all for watching. Let me know how you think of this tutorial, and that's it. Cue the white screen. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I really do enjoy making these farms. I'm not that good at making farms myself, but I am pretty good at modifying them. Already existing farms, that by which I mean. So I do thank you guys for watching. If you like to see the base farm, go check out Oink Oink's channel. He has some pretty good farms there, and they are really efficient. But I did enjoy modifying this farm to be very efficient. So, like I said, stack the farm, you'll have as much gold as you need. And thank you all very much for watching. I guess I said that multiple times, but it's time to head out. Peace.